I don't want to back down from any race, ever. But this race isn't the race we agreed to, and it's not even close to fair. I could call the guy and try and reason with him, but the dude's a used car salesman. He's just gonna lie to me, and I don't even want to deal with it.
From the world of Street Outlaws, the long silence surrounding Justin Big Chief Shearer may have finally shattered. For years, he helped build the 405 racing family and protect its code. But behind the roaring engines and TV fame, tensions were quietly rising. Friendships cracked. Tempers exploded. And one person reportedly pushed Chief closer to a breaking point than anyone realized. So, was it betrayal, business greed, or something carefully orchestrated behind the cameras? Because what Chief is revealing now may change how fans see the story. Number 5. James Reaper Goad. When James Goad first appeared in the world of Street Outlaws, his arrival immediately changed the atmosphere. Unlike many racers who slowly earned their place within the group, Reaper entered the scene with confidence and strong opinions. From the start, he made it clear that he was willing to question how things operated, even if it meant challenging long-standing traditions within the racing community. That approach quickly placed him in a complicated position. Reaper was not part of the original Oklahoma 405 racing circle, a group built on years of trust and shared street racing history. Within that community, reputation and longevity carried enormous weight. At the center of the system was the famous 405 list, a ranking structure that determined which drivers raced each other and who held the most respected positions. More than just a leaderboard, the list served as the organizing framework that kept race nights structured and competitive. Overseeing that system was Justin Shearer. Chief played a critical role in maintaining order among the racers. He organized call-outs, helped determine race conditions, and settled disputes when disagreements surfaced. His authority came from years of involvement in the street racing community, and many drivers believed the system worked because it had been shaped by racers themselves long before television cameras arrived. However, when Reaper began participating in the environment, he started questioning whether the structure was as fair as it appeared. He suggested that certain drivers near the top of the list sometimes benefited from advantages that others did not receive. In his view, decisions surrounding call-outs and race conditions occasionally seemed to protect established positions rather than strictly follow the competitive spirit of the rules. What made the situation more intense was the way Reaper expressed those concerns. Instead of keeping disagreements private, he spoke openly about them during race nights and on camera. He challenged call-out decisions, questioned race setups, and at times criticized how the 405 list was managed. Those moments created visible tension among the racers and quickly became some of the most memorable confrontations on the show. Chief responded firmly, defending the system and the authority behind it. He emphasized that the structure of the list had developed over many years and could not simply be rewritten by someone who had only recently entered the group. Their exchanges remained verbal, but the debates were direct and often heated, revealing just how strongly both men felt about the future of the racing order. While other drivers had occasionally raised concerns about the list, their criticism was usually more measured. Racers such as Ryan Martin and Chuck Seitzinger had questioned certain aspects of the rankings before, but the conversations rarely escalated the way Reaper's challenges did. His persistence kept the issue alive season after season. The conflict eventually extended beyond the show itself. Reaper began sharing his views through online videos and social media posts, where he continued discussing what he believed were deeper problems within the racing environment. Those statements quickly spread among fans and racing forums, keeping the debate active even when cameras were no longer filming. Over time, the growing friction between Reaper, several racers, and production made his role on the series increasingly uncertain. His appearances became less frequent, and eventually, he stepped away from the show entirely. Despite leaving the franchise, Reaper did not step away from racing. He shifted his attention to independent projects and continued building cars and competing at regional drag racing events. One of the most recognizable symbols of his time on the show remained his car, the Reaper SS. A heavily modified Chevrolet Camaro known for its aggressive weight reduction and powerful turbocharged setup. Even after his departure, the debates he sparked did not disappear. Instead, they continued to circulate among fans and racers alike, leaving lingering questions about the system that once defined the competitive order of the 405. After leaving the franchise, Reaper's engine never cooled. He raced independently, his infamous Reaper SS still turning heads, but what unseen rivalries and hidden ambitions were quietly igniting far beyond the 405, threatening to rewrite the rules of the underground racing world? Stay glued. Number 4. Richard Rawlings. While tensions around James Reaper Goad revealed cracks within the 405 racing circle, another conflict was brewing far beyond Oklahoma City. It didn't start on a dark street or inside the guarded world of the Street Outlaws list. It began in Dallas, Texas, where a different kind of car empire had taken shape, under Richard Rawlings. Rawlings had never been part of the street racing scene. His fame came from business, television, and the automotive brand he built. As founder of Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas, he gained recognition for buying run-down classic cars, restoring them, and flipping them for profit. That approach eventually became a television hit when Fast and Loud premiered on Discovery in 2012. Over 8 seasons, ending in 2020, the show cemented Rawlings as one of the most recognizable personalities in automotive media. By the mid-2020s, Gas Monkey extended far beyond a single garage, branching into restaurants, tequila, merchandise, and music venues across Texas. His reach grew alongside a fan base that pushed Gas Monkey's social media presence beyond 20 million followers. Long before TV fame, Rawlings had already built a reputation for speed. In 2007, he and a partner broke the 1979 Cannonball Run record, driving from New York to Los Angeles in just 31 hours and 59 minutes, cementing his image as someone who pursued bold automotive challenges. Yet Rawlings's world differed sharply from Oklahoma City's street racing culture. So when a major showdown was organized between Gas Monkey and the Street Outlaws crew, the cultural gap was striking. One side represented a structured, media-driven brand. The other, years of underground racing, where reputation outweighed paperwork. The agreement seemed simple. Both teams would build completely new cars from scratch, with no recycled machines or hidden advantages. 2 teams, 2 cars, 1 race to settle the challenge. For Street Outlaws, stakes were higher than a single win. Their reputation, the credibility of the 405 list, and the integrity of their culture hung in the balance. Trouble emerged during the build phase. Rawlings brought in Alex Laughlin to drive the Gas Monkey car. Laughlin was not a casual driver, but an experienced NHRA drag racer. Street Outlaws reacted immediately. Justin "Big Chief" Shearer viewed the move as crossing the line. The race had been crew versus crew. Introducing professional talent changed the dynamic. Chief argued the original spirit was simple: build your car, drive your car, and stand behind your team. Despite objections, the race proceeded. Laughlin drove Gas Monkey. Chief drove Street Outlaws. Engines roared, tension filled the air, and when the race ended, Street Outlaws crossed first. Victory was clean and undeniable, but disagreement lingered. Chief later criticized how the agreement had shifted, noting the conditions had changed without full consent. Inside the world of the 405, there was no written rulebook, no official guide to dictate who won, who lost, or how battles unfolded. The entire system thrived on trust, a fragile, unspoken code that bound racers together. Deals were struck face to face, handshakes and nods carrying more weight than any contract could. Every promise, every agreement depended entirely on honor. To alter the terms after the fact was more than unfair. It was a direct violation of the only law the 405 had ever truly enforced. One misstep, one broken word, and the balance that held this underground empire together could shatter entirely, leaving chaos in its wake. Victory was clear, yet whispers of betrayal lingered. How did unspoken rules fracture under pressure? And could even Memphis's fiercest queen of the streets face a system where trust outweighed contracts and power was never guaranteed? Number 3. Precious Cooper. The tension left by the showdown with Richard Rawlings lingered long after the cameras stopped rolling, casting a shadow over the Street Outlaws world. Questions about rules, fairness, and who truly held control over the competition refused to fade. They resurfaced in a new, equally charged setting, this time centering on one of Memphis's most respected and formidable racers. Precious Cooper had already carved out a reputation that few dared challenge. Known throughout the scene as the Queen of the Streets, she earned her title by consistently defeating seasoned racers in a male-dominated world. Her rise was deliberate, disciplined, and impossible to ignore. Fans admired the poise and confidence she carried behind the wheel, a calm that belied the intensity of her racing. To fellow drivers nationwide, she was a serious contender the moment her tires met the line, a force that commanded respect without boasting. Her journey began under the mentorship of J.J. DeBoss, the longtime leader of the Memphis crew featured on Street Outlaws. Memphis. Precious stepped into racing at 19, behind the wheel of a modest car she called Puddle Jumper. Each race taught her the unforgiving rhythm of street drag racing, where a fraction of a second could make or break a career. Over the years, she refined her instincts, upgraded her machines, and steadily ascended the ranks, transforming from a local standout into a nationally recognized driver. By the time Street Outlaws, America's List, organized its national competition, Precious was already a household name within the franchise. Her experience extended far beyond the glare of television cameras. She regularly participated in high-profile events like No Prep Kings and Outlaw Armageddon, competitions that drew elite drivers from across the country. When America's List summoned racers for a national showdown, Precious arrived not to prove herself, but with the quiet confidence of someone who had already earned her place. But the conflict that would define this chapter of her story had nothing to do with the race itself. It began in a meeting room. Production unveiled a new Race Your Way In qualification rule, allowing some drivers to secure a spot in the national competition through preliminary races rather than regional rankings. While intended to level the playing field for various crews, the change ignited controversy. Precious, along with several other drivers, was directly affected by this shift. Reports describe a tense pre-filming drivers' meeting, where an argument allegedly involved Justin "Big Chief" Shearer and his partner Jackie Brash. Witnesses described the exchange as heated, the air thick with frustration and unspoken grievances. What was said remains largely private. Neither Precious nor Chief publicly elaborated, leaving fans only fragments of the story. Yet the aftermath was unmistakable. Chief walked away from production, reportedly on the very first night of filming. Later, Shearer cited broader disagreements with the show's direction, including rules, competition structure, and production decisions, without directly blaming Precious. She, in turn, remained silent, choosing not to fan the flames. Still, The timing of the confrontation made it easy for viewers to connect the dots, turning speculation into enduring legend. Fans filled the silence with theories while Precious focused on racing, letting her performance speak louder than controversy. She continued competing at major events like No Prep Kings and Outlaw Armageddon, demonstrating her skill and resilience and refusing to be defined by drama. The disagreement, unresolved and quietly simmering, lingered in the franchise's background. Tension between racers and production had already sparked multiple clashes, but what came next promised to be more personal, entwined with someone who had shared Big Chief's garage for over a decade. In the world of Street Outlaws, the line between competition and conflict was thin, and sometimes it was the quietest rivalries that burned the hottest. Long before Chief's shocking departure, a silent rivalry had ignited in the shadows of the garage. What drove Kai Kelly to challenge a decade-long bond? And could one hidden clash redefine the very heart of Street Outlaws forever? Keep watching. Number 2. Kai Kelly. The unresolved tension surrounding the meeting that led to Justin Big Chief Shearer stepping away from Street Outlaws, America's List had already sparked questions across the racing world. But long before that moment, another rivalry had quietly been forming, not through meetings or arguments, but in the raw, unfiltered arena of head-to-head racing. That challenger was Kai Kelly. Kelly grew up in Magnolia, Mississippi, far from the streets of Oklahoma City, where the 405 crew had built their reputation. He raced for years in the southern street scene, earning local respect through persistence, mechanical skill, and a willingness to compete against anyone. While his name carried weight regionally, it had not yet reached the national stage that Street Outlaws would provide. When Kelly appeared around the show's racing circle in 2014, he arrived as an outsider. He had no history with the 405 crew and none of the long-standing connections that defined their world. What he did bring, however, was a car built for one purpose: the Shocker, a Chevrolet Camaro designed purely for quarter-mile competition. Flashy presentation was irrelevant. Every choice in its construction focused on performance and speed. Once Kelly began challenging established 405 racers, it became clear he wasn't there to ease into the spotlight. He faced the strongest competitors directly, winning race after race, victories the Oklahoma City crew could not dismiss. One defining moment came in 2015 at a major Cash Days event in Texas, one of the most serious underground street racing gatherings in the country. Kelly faced a field of respected drivers, including Big Chief, and dominated, earning roughly $16,000 in prize money. His performance quickly became the talk of the racing world. For the 405 crew, the impact ran deeper. Their identity rested on being the fastest street racers in the country, and seeing an outsider outperform them at a high-profile event challenged that reputation directly. Kelly's visibility continued to grow. By 2016, he became a central figure on Street Outlaws, New Orleans, showcasing Louisiana's racing scene. His calm confidence and the Shocker's consistent performance made him one of the franchise's most recognizable racers. Outside of TV, Kelly ran a performance shop specializing in custom street and drag builds. His personal life intertwined with racing through his relationship with fellow drag racer Lizzie Musey, whose own career in no-prep competition progressed alongside his. When Musey passed away in 2024, Kelly openly reflected on her role in both his life and racing journey. On track, Kelly's battles with Big Chief continued over several years, with Kelly often coming out ahead. He acknowledged his advantage openly, framing the results as the natural outcome of cars meeting the finish line, never as personal attacks. The 405 crew responded not with anger, but adaptation. Builds became more aggressive, preparation sharper, strategies evolved. Over time, races between Kelly and Chief became some of the most anticipated showdowns in the franchise, drawing intense attention from fans and racers alike. Kelly never challenged the 405 list's authority or structure. He didn't complain publicly or question the system. He simply arrived at the starting line, staged the shocker, and let the results speak for themselves. On streets where speed defines respect, how did Kelly's quiet dominance over Big Chief ignite a silent revolution? And why did every 405 showdown suddenly feel like a battle the world couldn't ignore? Let's find out. Number 1. Shawn, Murder Nova Ellington. Long before the rivalries, the rule disputes, and the national spotlight of Street Outlaws, the foundation of the Oklahoma City racing scene rested on a partnership. At the center of that partnership were Justin Big Chief Shearer and Shawn Murder Nova Ellington, two racers whose connection stretched back years before television cameras ever arrived. During the mid-2000s, the two worked side by side at Midwest Street Cars in Oklahoma City. The shop became more than just a workplace. It was a meeting point for racers, a garage filled with late-night builds, and the birthplace of machines that would eventually become legends among fans. Cars like the Crow and the original Murder Nova were built in that environment, crafted through countless hours of shared effort. Their partnership extended beyond the shop floor. At one point, they even hosted a podcast together called The Chief and Shawn Show, giving fans a glimpse into their friendship and the culture surrounding the 405 racing scene. By the time Street Outlaws premiered in 2013, viewers already saw them as the core of the Oklahoma City crew. But even the strongest partnerships can face pressure when competition and television collide. The first serious crack appeared during Season 3. In the middle of a race that had been declared nitrous-free, Chief publicly accused Shawn of secretly running nitrous oxide. The accusation did not happen quietly behind closed doors. It unfolded in front of cameras and fellow racers, placing a spotlight on a disagreement that might once have been handled privately. For fans who had watched the two build their reputations together, the moment felt unsettling. The tension resurfaced again during Season 6 with another claim. This time, Chief suggested that Shawn had used a device known as a leave button, technology designed to help a driver launch at the exact moment the light changes. In street racing, where fractions of a second can decide the outcome, that kind of assistance could provide a measurable advantage off the starting line. Once again, the accusation was made publicly. While those moments created visible friction, a quieter shift was also happening behind the scenes. Over time, Shawn's interests began to move in a different direction. While Chief remained deeply focused on competitive street racing, Shawn found himself increasingly drawn toward restoring classic cars and building projects that required a slower, more detailed approach. Eventually, that shift became official. Shawn launched his own shop, 187 Customs, creating a new base for his work and brand. Fans first noticed the change through social media. Posts that once carried the Midwest Street Cars name began appearing under the 187 Customs identity. Together with his manager Phantom, Shawn gradually built a new presence, separating his work from the shop he once shared with Chief. By around 2021, the split between them was complete. They no longer attended races together, and the garage that had once been their shared home base stopped being their meeting point. So, what do you think really shaped Big Chief's reign over the 405? Rivalries with Reaper, Kai Kelly's dominance, Precious's confrontation, the Gas Monkey clash, or Shawn's split? We'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.